Alright, everybody. Draftkings round up UFC 270, or whatever it was, Francis Ngannou versus Gane. Much better week this week than last week. Although you can't really get lower than last week, so yes, I did better than last week, but I did way better than last week. I almost won. Did not win, but almost won. Up in first, congratulations to Lamby Killer, a bit newer to the league. In second, we got Evan, which was quite the comeback. I gotta give a separate applause to Evan, because he was really kind of down in there, down in like 7th, 8th, and he picked Francis and Surreal, and they shot him up. Like, he got right into the second, almost won. Lamby Killer won with 586.51. Second was Evan with 536.42. Third, Original Cow Nico with 529.71. And then fourth, my favorite number, of course, me with 513.42. So let's go through it. Davison Figueiredo up first with 110.34. Wow, was this a good pick? That was a great fight. I'll get to that in another video. But what a phenomenal fight. And although I wasn't correct in the late TKO, Brandon's chin did hold up beyond my expectations. Props to him. But Davison Figueiredo landed those shots, and those shots that he landed that stunned, hurt, wobbled, backed up Moreno won him that fight. So that was very good to get 110 points out of that. Quite the pick. It was like, it wasn't my last pick, but I was very flip-floppy on it. I was very hesitant to make that choice, make that pick, and I'm glad I did, because it panned out really well for me. Up next is Morales with 117.75. Great fight. Not much more to say about it, honestly. First round finish. Great fight. Phenomenal pick. I sort of expected that, but 117 points is nice to have it on there. Oliveira, it's my last pick. He got 17.45 points. Sort of saw this one coming. Not in the way I expected, though. It went to a decision. Oliveira got tagged a little bit on the feet, but it was mostly his accepting of the takedown and the attempt to finish Bradley with submissions, which is where I thought a possible avenue of victory. I thought that was his avenue to victory. However, Bradley muscle fucked him out. He survived the submission. I thought he was about to get him at one point. I was like, oh man, here we go. But Bradley got out of it, won the decision. Props to him. Not super upset about it because it was my last pick, but it worked out. Up next, Barcelos. He ended up losing, but he got 59.05 points. Went to a decision. Very surprised. The dude he was fighting, Henry, he really came out and brought the fight to him. And Barcelos couldn't really get going from the get-go, and he stayed behind the whole fight. He sort of tried to come back in the third round, but even then, it was rough. Props to Henry, but even though Barcelos didn't win, he still got 60 points on the loss, so I can't be too upset about that, contributing to my high score. And although I am a bit upset because he was quite expensive, if I do recall. We're a couple days removed, but I'm a little late on the video. Regardless, kind of a backfire pick, but in terms of backfiring, it sort of, it didn't even itself out, but it regained some ground in terms of okay pick because of the large amount of points he got despite his losing, because he did put up quite a fight. Honestly, it was a great fight. Up next, Demopoulos versus Juarez. Oh boy, funny story with this one, real quick. Let me sip on my gin for a second. Oh man, that tastes terrible. Jesus. Whatchamacallit? We were at my friend Evan's house watching the fights. The NFL playoffs were on, so that's what they were watching in the main room. I, with my friend Chini, we were watching it in the dining room because I was eating dinner, and I had it streamed on my phone. And little did I know they flipped over to the fight, and we hear whoa, and it's like something going on. I'm like, yeah, the fight's crazy. I'm like, the fight? I didn't even know they had it on. So I'm like, oh crap. Meanwhile, on my phone, they're still walking out. So I'm like, okay, we're minutes behind here. And then I finally hear, oh, it's Ed, Demopoulos, it's Ed. I'm like, oh no, because this was like, I think the first fight I had on the Draftkings thing, the first one in the the order of when the fights actually went on. So I'm like, I really don't want to start off with a loss here. But it turned out they were oohing and eyeing that Juarez hit Demopoulos, dropped her, but Demopoulos managed to survive, brought her into the guard, and armbar. In fact, armbar. And she jumped into Joe Rogan's arms. It was hilarious. It was awesome. But it's funny because me and Cheney saw it like 3 minutes after it already happened, because we were watching it on the stream, which was minutes by, like literally minutes by. The fight had ended over there, and the fight hadn't even started on my phone. But I knew it was about a minute long, so I'm like, spoiler alert, something crazy happens, and 2 things crazy happened, and they worked out in my favor. She got 91.60 points. Great, good, basically 100, a little bit less. Kind of expecting more than that for a finish, but we sort of figured out how the points work now. Pretty good pick. I'll take it. It works for me, and it was a great and compelling fight. So I'm not upset about it. And then finally, we got Della Maddalena. Much better on my pronunciation this time, aren't I? Maddalena with 117.23. I almost missed this fight. I just so happened to check at the right time, and it was over that fast. It was great. First round destruction against Rodriguez. No disrespect to him, but I mean it was great, and having basically 120. He was a high pick. He was very heavily favored, very expensive, but it pans out. If you get basically 120 points, that works. If you get 6 people that do 120 points, you'll win, no matter what. But it's just, obviously with him being, I think, over 9,000, 120 evens out. That's good. That's what I expect when I drew my lineup. So, didn't come in first. But here's the thing, though. I'll end on this. I was so close to coming in first. I was in first place when the main event started. After Davis and Figueiredo won and got me that 110 points, I was winning. I was in number 1. I'm like, let's go. The people below me had all picked Francis doing it. So I'm like, okay, Cyril, let's get this. I didn't really know who to root for. I was sort of rooting for Cyril, but I was like, okay, let's bring the destruction now. And we all know how that went. So I didn't win, but still a great night, still a great weekend, and a pretty great lineup if I do say so myself.